James Earl Jones starred in the play Paul Robeson that opened at the Lunt-Fontanne Theatre at 205 West 46th Street, New York City from January 19, 1978 until April 30th and ran for 77 performances. Once it closed, it was immediately picked up by Joe Papp's New York Shakespeare Festival and played at Broadway's Booth Theatre at 222 West 45th Street in tandem with the play for colored girls who consider suicide. Robeson was written by playwright Philip Hayes-Dean over a period of months working with James Earl Jones and Lloyd Richards. He wrote a number of well-received plays including The Sty of the Blind Pig, Freeman and Every Night When the Sun Goes Down. The show was produced by Don Gregory, who produced many other one-man shows including Clarence Darrow with Henry Fonda, The Belle of Amherst starring Julie Harris as Emily Dickinson, Richard Burton as King Arthur in Camelot, Rex Harrison as Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady. In 1983 he co-produced Othello with James Earl Jones in the title role and Christopher Plummer as Iago. James Earl Jones performed spectacularly accompanied by pianist Bert Wallace and despite the play's controversy, received excellent reviews. I was the stage manager for 77 Broadway shows before it closed, and then I moved with it to the Booth Theatre where I also co-staged managed for colored girls who considered suicide. As for the subject of the play Paul Robeson, he attended Rutgers College in New Brunswick, New Jersey on an academic scholarship, becoming the university's third black student and its first black football player, and was named All-American twice. He was a man of many talents, actor, singer, and lecturer. He performed on Broadway and starred in movies. His rich basso made his signature song Old Man River a classic. He starred in the plays The Emperor Jones, Othello, Showboat and others in the US, Europe, and Africa. In 1925 he made a recording that sold 55,000 copies in 4 months. He was also one of this century's most controversial figures because of his outspoken criticism of American racism and his admiration for Soviet communism, who he found supported the working man. Although his political advocacy precipitated an intense governmental and public campaign against him, Robeson never deserted his convictions.
Speaking out politically in Europe was to erupt in Peekskill, New York. He had scheduled on his return a 4th annual concert for the Civil Rights Congress in Peekskill. However, those who wanted his outspoken voice stilled threatened violence if Robeson sang. Despite the threats, on September 4th, 1949, Robeson came to sing. Spectators jeered on the sidelines at the people who came to listen.
There's a group of young boys here yelling at the people stopped in their cars. There are hundreds and hundreds of people here, and if there's a serious outbreak, it will be very bad.
Because the concert was ringed with a threat of violence, hundreds of concert goers volunteered and stood a circle of guard around the audience and around Robeson himself. The goers were attacked as they left, and a riot developed. 140 people were injured. After Peekskill, other cities became sick. Concerts were cancelled. Robeson records were withdrawn from stores. Robeson continued to speak out, and condemnation of the man and his beliefs continued. Unbelievably, even his selection years before as All-American end for Rutgers was wiped from the record. The 1917-1918 College Football Hall of Fame listed the only 10-man All-American team in history. The 11th man, Paul Robeson, was eliminated, erased from the record.
The first director was Charles Nelson Riley, a comedian who was famous for his wit and TV appearances. Mr. Riley had to leave due to previous commitments and was replaced by Lloyd Richards. The intellectual, Richards was well regarded as theater director, actor, and dean of the Yale School of Drama and the artistic director of the National Playwrights Conference at the Eugene O'Neill Theater Center. There isn't much written about the play and information is hard to find. For a detailed and intimate depiction of how it was developed and produced, read my blog at louismascalo.substack.com.